Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is all about the Canon XA40 on YouTube, and this is Daniel Rosehill here. Today I wanted to make a video about lighting solutions for the Canon XA40 professional camcorder and just a few of the lights that I've been playing around with myself so far. So the XA40, one of the good things about it is that it has a cold shoe right at the top here, which is great because you can either mount anything that'll fit into a shoe mount, or you can also, something I've done a few times, is buy one of these 1 to 3 cold shoe adapters. So you'll slot in a cold shoe and it'll have usually 2 on the side, 1 at the front. Those kind of accessories are useful if you want to get a couple of things on. For instance, you could, I'm not sure why you'd want to do this, but you could have a light going up the front, perhaps another mic, perhaps 2 lights, 1 at the front, 1 slightly offset, 1 for a monitor. You could do that as well. So there's a lot of options once you have 1 cold shoe. Now, in terms of lights and getting them to fit, one difficulty I've encountered is I keep my camcorder always like this. I keep the top handle on and I have a shotgun microphone, the Audio-Technica AT875R, always in the shotgun mount. So it's always like this. The difficulty it creates is that you need to get a bit of elevation between the body and the light in order for it to fit. So I have a few camera lights, just, you know, in no particular order, starting maybe with the biggest and working back. Viltrox VL182. Now, none of these are incredible lights, but they're fine for throwing a bit of light on a subject. Something I personally like to do when I'm out shooting myself is, because this is so lightweight, you can hold it in one hand, I actually use the light, hold the light like this in one hand, and this allows me to just kind of really get a nice angle as opposed to keeping it on the camcorder. So I'll frequently be shooting with this hand, and then with this hand, whoops, there we go. That's going to blind the frame a bit. You know, I'll be kind of adjusting the light on my subject's face, and I've actually come to really like this this kind of setup for the reason that you can really control just with your hand what angle you want the light to be coming in at. Now, getting a guy like this onto the camcorder, I find you need something like, and I'll just pull it out of this light so I can demonstrate. You know, these accessories are pretty cheap on Amazon.com. This is a Neewer. I never know how to pronounce that make. It's a Neewer accessory. It's got a cold shoe at the bottom, a couple of locking rings. It's got a adjustable thing here. It's got a dial, and you can open it up, change the position of it a bit. And then on the top, it's got a cold shoe. So what I've been doing is taking a light like the Viltrox I just showed, or this light from Ulanzi. This is a light I picked up a bit more recently. It's a LCD. None of these are very expensive, maybe $30 to $50 each. And something I've learned the hard way is that it's always good to have a backup when you're doing video stuff. So that's why I have 2 of these panel lights. And what I'll do is, using these in conjunction with one another, I will just kind of go in here into the 1/4 inch with this. Find a position I'm happy with in terms of the rotation, like let's say kind of 20 degrees, because this adds a bit of height to the light, so it's kind of coming down on your subject. And then I'll just, it's going to be a little bit tricky to do this with one hand, but let me try anyway. Open up the screw a little bit. There we go, and just lock that into place, and then you can adjust the rotation. So this is like using a on-camera light. It adds a little bit of weight to the rig naturally. It's probably not perfectly straight, but this is the best I can do with one hand. And then you've got your light, and you can just kind of turn it on and shoot like this. And as you can see, it's kind of throwing a bit of light there to the wall on the side of me. The disadvantage of this approach is that if you're quickly putting your camcorder in and out of a camera bag, having a bulky light naturally is going to make the camcorder a bit taller, and taking this on and off every time you want to shoot is a bit of a pain. So what I actually do is I always carry this with me when I'm going out shooting. Most often I actually use it handheld, but I always keep this tiny little thing attached to the camcorder. This is the Ulanzi VL30. Now, it's not my go-to light by any means. It's tiny. Look at, you can see with my fingers. I'm looking at the AliExpress listing. It's like $10, $15. So this is kind of my backup light. If I have nothing else, this will throw a little bit of light. It's pretty primitive. It's got 3 different settings. You can control the color temperature, but if you have nothing else to use, it gets the job done. And this has a little cold shoe at the bottom. And the advantage of this guy is because it's so compact, it actually doesn't add any height to the camcorder. So I can just screw this into the cold shoe at the top of the XA40, tighten that up, and now there we go. And I can just use the hand grip, and I've got myself a lighting solution that you can see it pretty much doesn't, it literally adds no height because the shotgun microphone, the shotgun goes up to here. So I can show you guys how this looks to shoot with. Bit of light, and it's throwing a bit of light. Some camcorders I've seen on the market, like the Panasonic ones, actually have a built-in light, which I think would be very useful, but unfortunately the XA40 doesn't. The final light that I use with this camcorder is the Ulanzi VL49. It's an RGB light. It's square. This is kind of my midway light between the big LED panel light and the really small guy, which is lovely and compact but doesn't really throw a ton of light. This guy is a box, and just for it doesn't need any additional accessories. It's got a cold shoe at the bottom of its body, and it just slots right in. And I'll just show you guys what it looks like on the camera. Adds a little bit of height, but really not that much. And obviously because it's bigger, you're going to be getting a bit more in terms of like surface area. So that's me shooting with it here. Now you may notice a lot of the Ulanzi products have quite good design. They give you a couple of cold shoes on the light, which means you can actually stack lights. I haven't done this yet. I'm not sure really what the advantage would be, but you could daisy chain these. Like I can put this guy, if I can just open it up a bit with my one hand, into this and lock it off, and now I've got 2 lights. It looks a bit strange, but you could literally build out a whole rig if you really wanted a lot of light on the camera. So that's basically it in terms of on-camera lights. In summary, there's, you don't need to spend a lot of money on these LED things. You can get just LED panels. The only difficulty, as I mentioned, is if you're thinking about doing a setup like mine with the shotgun, you might want to measure how much height you need vertically with one of these, because for example, if I take this Viltrox light, physically there's just no way it's going to fit like this. There has to be a bit of a stand above it, and again, one of the pieces like this are perfect for exactly that reason. They add a bit of height, but you don't have this problem, and because you've added height, you can even sort of tilt your light a bit, just get it more fine control. So those are the lighting options I found so far with the XA40. Given that it has a 1/2.3 CMOS sensor, the low light performance does suffer quite a bit, and I would say any light, even if it's just a small thing like this, is a lot better than no light in terms of getting decent image quality out of this camcorder when you're shooting in low light conditions or at nighttime. Thanks for watching. If you want to get more videos about the XA40, do consider subscribing to this channel.